Just in January, Arthur Blank, the owner of the Atlanta Falcons, he made some changes within his organization. And in a minute, I'll be talking to the vice chairman of Arthur M. Blank Sports and Entertainment about what it all means. Hello, everyone. I'm Jabari Young, senior writer here at Forbes. And I'll be talking to Steve Cannon, the vice chairman of Arthur M. Blank Sports and Entertainment. Well, he was just promoted to vice chairman after spending a few years as CEO, where he helped launch the Mercedes-Benz Stadium, the Atlanta United MLS franchise, and helping to run the Falcons. Steve Cannon, right now.
So it was, I've been CEO for AMB Sports Entertainment for like the last 7 years. And good organizations do succession planning really well.
Yeah.
And we had some senior leaders that needed some more growth/development room. And so we elevated them. I moved to vice chairman of the same portfolio, but now I'm operating at a different altitude, allowing Rich and Greg Beatles and Tim Zalowski, Garth Lagerwey for Atlanta United, really competent leaders to do a phenomenal job. I'm still connected to all those businesses, but I operate at a different altitude. And all of that is designed so that we have a smooth succession. As you move from kind of one senior leadership team, if you're not paying attention to succession, that can really bite you. And a lot of companies, amazingly, don't do that very well. So Arthur committed to, smooth and proper succession, created a period of time to grow these leaders, and while I'm still around. And that's what I'm doing right now, vice chairman.
Yeah. Does your role change at all from the past, 7 years? Again, you've been with this organization since 2016. Does the role change, or is it, hey, I'm taking on more responsibility?
So the altitude changes, right? If I changed from CEO to chairman and I did all the same things, attended all the same meetings, I'm not giving the senior leaders their own room to grow.
Right.
So the way I expressed it, Jabari, is, I'm occupying a different altitude. You still have to stay connected to the businesses and what's going on. And, business moves really fast. And
That's right.
If you elevate too high in your altitude, you're out of touch. You can't add any value. So the art for me will be to kind of change altitudes in a way that allows me to continue to develop our senior leaders, add value for Arthur, take on extra strategic projects that are important for him. And that's kind of what I'm doing.
Yeah. I mean, listen, well, congratulations on the altitude change. And what's going on over there now. Looking ahead, April 22nd is Earth Day, and it's one of the reasons why we're connecting here today, because Mercedes-Benz Stadium, zero waste stadium. When I hear the phrase, I know what it means. I know what teams are trying to do with the sustainability push. But for the general audience, what does this mean that teams are now getting into zero waste stadiums and making sure that they're energy efficient and making sure that they're doing much better for the environment? I hear guys like Tim Lewicki, one of the pioneers in building these type of these complex, these huge palaces nowadays. They talk so much about it. We went through COVID, and obviously you know how important it is. But what does it mean, and why should your fan base be so excited that Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta is a zero waste stadium?
So we're all challenged to reduce our impact on the planet, right? Whether that's greenhouse gases or landfill. If we don't take better care of our planet, it's not going to take care of us. Yeah. So there's an obligation as a member of a community, whether you're a business or an individual, to do your part. And for us at AMB Sports Entertainment, we set a very high goal for ourselves. First, we were the first stadium in North America to be LEED Platinum certified. That's a build standard. That means 10% of the energy for our stadium comes from renewable sources. That's solar. It's a whole build qualification, but we just didn't want to build a building and say we were done. Mm-hmm. We want to operate it in just the same kind of spirit. And zero waste means that all the garbage, all the refuse that we produce over the course of a year, and all the events and concerts and football games and soccer matches, all of those plastic bottles and aluminum cans and trash, if we're not careful, it all goes to the landfill. And we have a landfill problem in the United States. So in order to be zero waste qualified, you have to divert more than 90% of all the garbage refuse that you produce has to be diverted away from landfill, either into recycling or to composting. And we set ourselves that goal, and we achieved it for the complete year in 2022. And we are the first stadium in the world, which I'm pretty proud of, right? In the world, the first stadium to be true green certified, which is a great accomplishment. But if only Atlanta, if only we do it, it's not a big enough accomplishment.
Mm-hmm.
So we've put together what I call a playbook. We're going to share that playbook across our industry as far and as wide as we possibly can. And if we can inspire any change and essentially say, here's what we did, here were the obstacles, here were the costs associated with it. And if even another building does the same thing, we will have moved in the right direction. My hope, Jabari, is that a lot of clubs will look at what we've done and say, hey, we can do that too. And we're going to share that playbook as far and wide as we can.
Yeah. Listen, shout out to you guys for doing that. Earth Day used to be one of those things where it was just another thing on the calendar. I think more people are taking it much more seriously now, especially when we have, we go through this climate change and we see that our decisions can really, really impact how we live. From a business standpoint, right? And you're in the sports and entertainment world. Is that accurate? Has Earth Day become much more important on the calendar and just instead of it being another thing?
Yeah. Look, we've gone through the motions of Earth Day for a long time. I think it's becoming, it's such an important topic. It's an existential topic if you think about it. So I think Earth Day holds a more prominent place, and we're all going to have to figure out how do we do our part to have an impact and make sure that this planet that we are privileged to occupy stays sustainable for billions of years. And if we don't do the right thing, there's no guarantee there. So everybody has got to take a step in the right direction. I think the days of greenwashing, Jabari, are over, meaning I can put it in a package. I can tell you it's new and improved, and think that you're done. I think that sustainability is going to become more organic to business practices across all industries, and in so doing, the additive effect of all that is going to make a difference.
I can't lie. I when I was down at the stadium, it was my first time at the Mercedes-Benz Stadium for the Black Sports Business Symposium, a great event that you guys helped sponsor. Thank you so much for that. A great. It's going to continue to grow over the years. And I found myself in there, Steve. I mean, I don't know what hit me, but I was collecting little aluminum cans and putting it in your green trash cans and blue. Like, I don't know if y'all put something in me or something. Like, I was actually helping, and I wanted to do it, and it was important. And the green trash cans was around. Like, I looked around the room, and I'm like, you know what? They're serious. Let me at least do my part to help.
It's not that hard, Jabari. If we take it from back burner to front burner and make it relevant for people and visible and easy, regular people, reasonable people are going to participate and do the right thing. Yep. So alone by raising the consciousness and then making it super easy, either put it in the green waste receptacle or the blue waste receptacle, that little tiny action is going to have an additive impact. So let's just demystify this, this language, sustainability and green, and break it down into simple behaviors where we can all do our part.
Yeah, man, I like that. That's spoken right there. That's simple. That's spoken like a guy who's done 133 push-ups, right, in a couple minutes.
Don't be shaving me on that one. I saw it.
Listen,
come on.
Flashback to where it all started for business. You're a New Jersey native, right? I live there now. Went from 133 push-ups again to an Army Ranger. In 1991, you joined Mercedes-Benz, and you helped launch the first SUV, the M Class, while you were there. And then that continued to go on, became CEO in 2012 of the North American operation, where you launched the CLA, right? The compact car. So a lot of things under the Mercedes brand. I look at you and I say, okay, Steve Cannon, if you look at the beginning part of his career, this guy's an innovator. You agree with that?
Look, Jabari, I'm just fortunate to, number one, work for an amazing global brand, a global brand that cares deeply about taking not just putting pretty cars on the road, but putting life-saving technologies there. So as beautiful as a CLA or an M Class, or now called a GLE, as beautiful as they are, they're engineered around saving your life if the time comes to it. So it's more than just bling, right? It's not. That's the Mercedes-Benz Star is not about bling. It's about substance. And the fact that I got to be part of that, from a design, from a marketing, amazing experience, and then to have the opportunity to move from a really cool sector like automotive and a global brand like Mercedes-Benz to go work for an iconic entrepreneur named Arthur Blank and be part of the Atlanta Falcons and Mercedes-Benz Stadium and launching Atlanta United. Honestly, I still do pinch myself and think, wow, what a wonderful career path. And in any career, you got to get lucky. You got to be in the right place at the right time. You got to obviously take advantage of the opportunities that come your way. But switching industries, in your 50s is not something that happens very often. And
don't skip to your 50s just yet. I'm still in your 30s and your 40s, right? I'm still at Mercedes-Benz right now as I go back and look at your past again. You've done a lot of important things in the automotive industry, helping to lead Mercedes North America. I think everybody loves a Mercedes-Benz, right? I wanted one at one point in my life. I saw this price tag and I said, you know what, maybe not. But I appreciate you at least trying to make it affordable when you were out there. Anything you would do differently, though, while you were at Mercedes? And I'm talking even from going back to the M-Class. I mean, you helped develop the anti-lock brake system. Anything that you would do differently during your tenure there when you look back at it now, I could have probably did that differently.
Wow. Look, we there's all kinds of things that I do differently. Look, we went through a financial crisis, on my watch, the meltdown that took place in 2008. And that was a really difficult moment where we had to reduce our footprint, let go of people. That was really challenging. Anytime you have to say goodbye to people that are part of your team is really, really difficult. And if I could have waved the magic wand and not had to do that, I would have done that. But that's what leadership's about, right? You got to step up to the tough decisions. It's not just taking accolades when they come your way. You got to make the tough decisions. We moved the headquarters for Mercedes-Benz from, really proud, we moved it from New Jersey, my hometown, here to Atlanta. An amazing transformational project that kind of set up the next chapter for Mercedes-Benz success in the United States. From the 60s to 2012, we were in New Jersey, and the next entire chapter in the United States is going to be written out of Atlanta. You can't ask for a better town, a more welcoming, more diverse town that has a really supportive business community, but a community that deeply cares about all of its citizenry. So this last chapter that I've had, Jabari, here in Atlanta has been really, really an amazing capstone to what's been a pretty cool career.
Yeah. So you can't pinpoint one or two things that you probably would do differently in Mercedes?
Well, look, we launched a couple of cars that, if I could take it back.
Don't tell me you would take back the CLA.
No, I would take I would take the R class back all day long. It was kind of a hybrid between a minivan and a station wagon, and hybrids, and it just didn't find its way in the United States. So to me, that was a product that just missed the market, and it eventually got discontinued. So I probably would have.
I remember the R class. It was very short lived. It almost reminded me of the Highlander in a way, or the Toyota brought out another one with what it begins with an A. I forget what it was, a Venza or something like that, or a V. But it was almost like that model. It was
a people mover in a design that looked a little too utilitarian. So I think we ended up missing the mark on it.
Yeah.
Fortunately, in automotive product cycles, it takes a while, right? A product cycle is 7 years. So if you launch something, you got to commit to it. We committed to it, and ultimately it found its way out of our portfolio. Diesel engines, and another kind of thing that's not right for the U.S. market. The diesel market is more associated with big trucks. U.S. consumers never really felt comfortable in a mainstream way adopting diesel engines as an alternative to the internal combustion engine. So that was a bit of a miss. But if you look at all of it, the products that are now represent Mercedes-Benz, they're just phenomenal. And the fact that the largest logo on planet Earth is atop Mercedes-Benz Stadium. In fact, here's a funny story. A West Point not classmate, but a fellow alumni, happens to be an astronaut, and I greeted him and I toured him around Mercedes-Benz Stadium, and he pulls out this picture from the International Space Station, and it shows the Mercedes-Benz logo visible from space.
Wow.
So pretty cool to combine those two. The fact that I got to work for Mercedes-Benz, I'm now in the sports industry, yet I'm inside of Mercedes-Benz Stadium trying to make that the best stadium in the world. It's almost like a perfect intersection of two different careers.
Yeah. I mean, listen, I was there, and I can say now, and I'm not just saying it because you're here, that's probably my favorite NFL stadium, right? I've been to the most of the new ones, but that's probably my favorite one. When I'm washing my hands, the screen pops up. I mean, you don't want to leave. Steve, I almost tried to spend a night there. I really did, but I knew security was going to find me somehow, and I was going to get kicked out.
Well, I'm glad we didn't have to. Unlike Kanye, who stayed in our building for like 30 days.
So that is true.
Recording here, we didn't kick him out, and we wouldn't have kicked you out either, Jabari. But I will tell you, I'm super proud of the fact that it's not just the brick and mortar, it's not just the building itself, it's the software and the people. So we just got rated, according to NFL's Voice of the Fan, the #1 stadium on hospitality, on game day entertainment. So it's not just what you do with your physical infrastructure, but can you meaningfully bring that hardware to life through people, i.e. the software? And if you pay attention to both, you can create a pretty compelling experience. And I think that's what we've done at Mercedes-Benz Stadium.
Yeah. Well, listen, I mean, you've rushed out of your 30s and 40s, and now you've pushed me into your 50s to talk about this, right? Because you keep going back to Mercedes-Benz Stadium. But listen, flashback, take me back to when, I don't know if it was you or whether it was Arthur Blank, who convinced who for you to join the organization back in 2016? Because you were in that transition. You leave Mercedes, you go right to Arthur M. Blank Sports Entertainment. Who convinced who?
Look, we sort of dated for a while. It was an interesting thing that ultimately Arthur was looking for his first CEO, and he knew that culture and value systems matters above all. And he said it to me when we were talking to each other. Hey, Steve, I take for granted, I take it on faith that you've got an accomplished career, or we wouldn't be meeting together, right? You can check a lot of boxes off on your resume, but that's not the most important thing. The most important thing is who you are as a person, your character, your value system, and will you operate my businesses in a way that I would feel great about, right? So that was the biggest sort of thing for Arthur. And we spent, half a dozen times we met in his office, out for lunch, out for dinner, sort of having conversation alignment. And I felt great about that, because it made me feel really good that he cared deeply about who I was as a person, not just what I accomplished. And sometimes companies, they lose their way when they just chase outcomes, right? Let me be #1 in sales. Let me go after market share. Let me, and sometimes bad things happen when you chase outcomes. Arthur is a guy that says, if I get the value system right and I get the culture right, the outcomes will follow. And our businesses are absolutely testimony to that belief system. And so, look, it didn't take much convincing to go work for an amazing guy like Arthur. Like I told you, an iconic entrepreneur who cares deeply, deeply about his community, signed the Giving Pledge. 95% of his wealth is going back through his foundation to society. And honestly, always puts his money where his mouth is, right? If he says, I'm going to do this, or community is important to me, he doesn't just check a couple boxes. He gets down in the weeds and says, how can I make a positive impact? So working for somebody like that is an absolute pleasure. And if I toured you around, if we took a tour around Mercedes-Benz Stadium, I would show you all the places where Arthur didn't cut corners. And so many of those big projects, they have this thing called value engineering, right? Big projects like that, they always go over budget. Then you sit back down, you sharpen your pencil, and you start slashing things. Well, Arthur Blank doesn't know how to spell value engineering. He said, I'm going to take care of the fan. I'm going to take care of our customers, and I'm going to deliver them an exceptional experience. And if that means I have to put an extra elevator over here, or I have to make the seats 21 inches instead of 19 inches because it's more comfortable, he did that and paid the incremental costs in order to do that. Heck, he invested millions upon millions of dollars extra to get that LEED Platinum certification. He didn't need to do that, but as a leading citizen in Atlanta, he knew, I gotta do the right thing for my community. In that case, it was making Mercedes-Benz Stadium a LEED Platinum facility.
Absolutely. Well, listen, under your tenure, you opened up that stadium. You were able to, the 2019 was it, the United win the MLS Cup. And the Falcons got there. 2018, the Falcons got there in 2017, Super Bowl. But I think he'd be very happy with the way that his organization has grown under your direction. But if you can describe him in one word, right? In one word, how would you describe Arthur Blank after telling me everything you just told me? Because I know you were just doing it to get a raise. It's coming, Steve. You're going to get that raise. But how would you describe Arthur Blank in one word?
I'm definitely at a point where I don't need to flatter Arthur. Everything when I talk about him, I talk about it really from the heart.
Yeah.
So one word: servant.
Servant.
He serves the community. He serves the customer. He has a servant heart. And for me, the model of leadership that I've tried to practice and live my entire life is called servant leadership. The organization doesn't work for me as the CEO. I am only there to serve the people inside of the organization. So servant is the word I use to describe Arthur.
Absolutely. Well, listen, going back inside Mercedes-Benz Stadium, one of the things that I remember talking to Arthur Blank just a few weeks ago at the NFL Owners Meeting, I didn't see you there, Steve. You weren't there in Arizona. If you were, I didn't see you. You were very evasive. I didn't see you there.
I missed that one. I had a conflict.
Okay, great. I was ready to say, because if I knew you were there, I would have said hello. But we had a chance to talk, and I was asking him about the diversity supplier line within that stadium. He said it's an issue that the NFL still has to work on. It's an issue that I definitely continue to look into to make sure the leagues say that they're doing the things that they say, including the teams. What does your diversity supplier line look like in Mercedes-Benz Stadium as far as Black businesses?
Look, when we built the stadium, Jabari, we set ourselves a threshold of, I want to say, I'm going back a few years, but we wanted to be over 20% of diverse businesses that were part of the fabrication and construction of Mercedes-Benz Stadium. We were over 31%, so we exceeded our target by almost 10 points. So really proud about that. And not only that, we worked with the community, worked with the historic West Side, which has been an area of Atlanta that had been largely left behind. And through workers programs and training programs, we stepped up an entire workforce that helped to build the stadium that paid living wages to diverse communities who happen to be our neighbor. So, the nice part about working again with Arthur is, you don't have to push him at all. He's going to jump to the front of the line. I mean, he serves on the DEI committee for the NFL. As this country was roiled post George Floyd murder, as we were all roiling here in Atlanta, things were being lit on fire. Like that was a tough moment. Like Arthur put the entire power of his businesses, his foundation, and kind of volunteered to help with the social justice issues that the NFL was confronted with. So I don't have that number off the top of my head. I gave you those examples just to indicate like Arthur doesn't meet minimum standards on those fronts. He exceeds those standards all the time.
Yeah. If I was a Black business in Atlanta, though, how could I get in touch with the Falcons to maybe introduce products so that way you be considered for a possible supplier contract?
Look, we've got heck, you can reach out to me.
Okay.
You can reach out to any one of our senior leaders. We are a very, very approachable group. The NFL projects very, very big, because it's on the media all the time. But we're a small, tight-knit group that is wired into our community. So reach out to Steve Cannon, reach out to Rich McKay, Greg Beatles, Tim Zalowski. Those are our senior most leaders. Garth Lagerway on the soccer side. And, that the buck stops there.
Absolutely.
And, if somebody's interested in getting access to our platforms for a business reason, those are the best. Start there.
Absolutely. Well, that's good to hear because, listen, I was listening to an interview where you said you were bullish on Atlanta and the future of Atlanta. And being down there for a few days again at the Black Sports Business Symposium, I'm bullish on Atlanta too. I love that city, and I think it's so many great things that happen there. Even though we're in this economic uncertainty with, inflation still a problem, and I don't know what we are, recession or not, you still bullish on Atlanta?
Oh, look, we're a leading business community. We're number 3 in the country in Fortune 1000 companies that have their global headquarters. That you can just look all around at the cranes and the investments. Just think while we were finishing Mercedes-Benz Stadium, State Farm started their $500 million renovation, and the Braves were completing their new stadium. So just if you think about quality of life, and sports as a proxy for quality of life and an entertainment opportunity, almost $4 billion of investment into Atlanta, all happened in the course of a 15-month period. So it's an investment town. It's a net in-migration city. We've got the World Cup coming in 2026. We've got a host of big events coming to the stadium, from college football championship. We've got the Final Four coming up. So the next
and Beyonce. Don't forget about Beyonce. Don't forget about
Taylor's coming first.
Absolutely.
And Beyonce. So we really have a full docket, and it's just great to see that the stadium is as busy as it's ever been.
Yeah,
we're doing things from Beyonce concerts to Black Sports Business Symposiums to giving back to the community. I told you at our last conversation we were the largest mass vaccination site in the Southeast. When we all needed to get COVID vaccinations, we volunteered and worked with FEMA to turn our stadium into a mass vaccination site. So this is a perfect example of public-private partnership. That yes, there's some public money that's in Mercedes-Benz Stadium, small portion, but the obligation to use that facility to give back to the community has informed our actions since we cut the ribbon.
Absolutely. Hey, man, thank you so much. A few minutes left, and, I want to kind of get your thoughts on a few issues very, very fast. We can call it rapid questions, but, you look at your career as a whole, right? Again, 133 push-ups in 2 minutes, right, until now. Has your leadership style changed at all?
It's not changed. It's just gotten better and more nuanced. At the end, you're never done as a leader, Jabari, and I keep learning all the time from the organizations, from the people that I lead, the connections that I make there, the different communities that I've served. So if you think about leadership, not as a destination, but as an entire lifelong journey, and if you're open to learning and being flexible so that way you can shift. So I haven't changed my style. I still feel like I'm on that journey of being the best servant leader that I can possibly be. So it's just become more nuanced over the years.
Yeah. When you look at the sports landscape right now, right? I mean, and we see so much happening, RSN, regional sports. I know the NFL doesn't have anything to do with that, but, they signed a huge contract yourselves, or the league itself. But when you look at the sports landscape as a whole, what do you see? What does Steve Cannon see?
I see shifting dynamics. It's like any business, right? If you're not ready to be agile and to adjust to the new environment, you've got a problem. So look, we've got this giant media, linear television, streaming, the RSNs, all the change that's happening through that. That's kind of one thing. The expectations of our fans is informed how we build our stadiums. So now they need to be like mini Disneylands. Honestly, you can't just have aluminum bleachers and think people are going to grab a beer and a popcorn and think that that's a great experience. So now you need Wi-Fi, you need televisions in the restrooms, like you experienced, Jabari. Like it's about creating an immersive environment that will get people off of their sofa, out of their homes, to come on down to a downtown environment like Atlanta and Mercedes-Benz Stadium. So to me, if you're not innovating, you're moving in the wrong direction. And it's no different than any other business in any other industry. You got to be agile. You got to have an R&D mentality. So we spend a bunch of money trying new things that our fans will appreciate. And so you got to stay agile and be dynamic in this crazy, crazy shifting environment. Yeah,
but you're walking that dangerous line, though, Steve. Again, you want to bring people in, but the problem is we don't want to leave once we get there, right? You're going to have a whole bunch of people wanting to spend the night.
That's a high-class problem, Jabari.
ChatGPT, right? About 2 minutes left. Will it play a big factor in sports? How so right now, if you can kind of predict?
I don't know yet. I mean, look, we're just looking at facial recognition on how to get into our building, where we can apply technologies to make our businesses better. So this is one of those applications that we have not yet, at least I personally have not seen an application in our building, but we're at the very beginning of of AI and its implications for the various industries. It's going to have a profound impact. Don't know what it is yet, but once we see smart business applications, we're going to pilot those, because I would rather be at the front end, understand it, test it, see where it adds value for us and for our business proposition, our fan experience. And if it does, we'll scale it. If not, it'll inform other industries.
Yeah, it's one of those technology uses evolved technology, right? The security system, walk right in. That's a great thing. You don't have to pull out your keys, anything like that anymore. That's a company that, I think they're publicly traded. So evolved technology, that deal's working out pretty good for you guys so far?
We were an early adopter. It's about how do we make a seamless fan experience, and stepping up to an old-fashioned magnetometer where you've got to go back and forth at alerts, and then you get wanded or patted down. That slows the entry process down, and it makes for a less enjoyable fan experience. This evolved technology lets 3 or 4 people kind of walk through at the same time. It's less invasive, yet highly, highly secure. So we haven't traded off any security, yet we've created a better fan experience. Whenever you can add technology that enhances the experience and makes sense, we're gonna be open for that all day long. And there's lots of innovation that's coming into the sports space. That's the good news. And it's going to be on us to beta test, see which things really, really work and impact the fan and impact the experience. And then once we see something, then scale it.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, man, so many other things to talk to you about, but we'll have to do it another time. I hope you can come back again. We'll talk. And the next time I see you, when we see each other in person, we're going to have a push-up contest, because I think I can outdo you.
All right. Let the smack talk begin, Jabari.
Steve Cannon, thank you so much for the time, and appreciate the business talk.
Great chatting with you. Thank you.
Thank you.